Welcome to the Love Local Chicagoland Podcast. Here we invite people from our local communities to share their stories and their voices. Through amplifying their message, we share their genuine human experiences that connect us all. Our goal is to make our communities more than just a place to live, but instead, a place to thrive. Tune in to hear what makes our communities so special right here on the Love Local Chicagoland Podcast.
The Love Local Chicagoland Podcast is made possible with the generous support of our community partners. Thank you.
Hey, what's going on, friends? Jason here with the Love Local Chicagoland Podcast. I am back here today in the studio with one of my partners in crime, Cole Keller. Cole Keller is a managing partner with Love Local Media. My friends, I'm a realtor by day. That's how I got into all this media stuff. And I help lead Love Local Media from business development, from a strategy perspective. But the boots on the ground, the people that are the creators of this company are led by this man here with Cole Keller. I met him which we'll talk about at a local venue where there was live music, where his brother was jamming on the guitar during COVID. And I saw him with the Sony camera. And the next thing you know, we became friends. And probably 3-4 years later now, he is a managing partner, a really good friend, and somebody I look forward to building a business with and supporting through life. So enough of me talking, my friends. I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Cole Keller. What's up, man?
Hey, howdy, hey. It's a totally different experience to be here in the seat instead of back there running the show and, back there editing the show. So
it's a little different.
So it's more than a little different. I mean, it's a great way to start the year, kind of with all the lights and the cameras. But yeah, it's awesome to be here, man.
Definitely is. You're born to do both, brother. I think you have a unique skill behind the scenes, and you help bring out people's voices, whether it's in the studio or whether it's with video out in the community at a really high level. And you do it and to be able to bring out their authentic selves. You help them through it, and I think that's beautiful. And I'm excited to not have you edit this. We're gonna have somebody else edit this. This was like a full disclaimer. We're like, you're like, I'm not editing this. Like, there's no way I'm editing my voice. Like, that's a true statement, correct?
Oh yeah,
yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't know. I think everybody is super self-critical about themselves. So I feel like I'd go insane and kind of Frankenstein this too much if I were the guy editing this. So if I'm the guy editing this right now, you probably won't hear this statement. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, we have other editors that are going to be able to help have your back, because I get that. I think when I was first early on with the Love Local stuff, totally like selling real estate in the community, loving on the local community during the pandemic, and having to edit some of those videos myself before I met, I would say before I met guys like you, because I had guys like you, but then I lost some of them, and then I was like, I could do this and I could edit, and that quickly, I quickly learned that is not where my best skills are suited. And I mean, to sit there in front of a computer for a long time is very hard for me to do. I'm a man on the move, I feel like. So what you do with the creation is just awesome, man. So let's get people to know a little bit about you, man. I feel like, behind the scenes, I keep saying, like, I can't wait for people to know you, because to me, you are the face of Love Local Media. It's just the stage of the process we're in. People see a lot of me right now. That's not the case. You are you're the man behind it. Deanna is a huge piece of what we're doing and what we're building too. She's running the show now. But tell people a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, I was born in a simple log cabin in the nothing so grand. I was born here in the northwest suburbs of Chicago.
I was like, there's log cabins in the northwest suburbs of Chicago.
Oh, well, maybe you just got to look in the right places. You got to dive into the woods a little bit, maybe in the forest preserve. Nah. But I was born and raised here in Palatine, Illinois. I went through the school system, D15. Shout out to my friends, my teacher friends in D15 nowadays. But yeah,
that means you're getting old. If you're saying your teacher friends in D15,
that
means you're starting to get old. Cole.
I came to that realization last year when I reconnected with some good friends of mine who are now teachers, which is insane to think about. I was a kid going through these systems and everything. But when I was a kid, I was about 10 years old. My parents decided to help me organize a birthday party where we would split me and my friends up into 2 teams. And we had this little competition with this little dinky hand recorder, this little camcorder sort of thing back when that was the norm. And we would make these videos, like these little home movies. And we would compete to see who made the better movie. Of course, we never came to a decisive victor because it's like, obviously the birthday boy is going to win. I mean, who's going to say, I made a bad movie on my birthday. Who's going to tell me that? But I edited it. Awesome. I got the footage and my parents were like, hey, why don't you open up Windows Movie Maker and try editing it up yourself? And I realized this is a ton of fun. Like I really, really enjoyed putting together the sound effects, cutting different things. And I realized I have so much power as an editor. I can make a whole story off of this. And before I knew it, I spent like days kind of just editing it up and messing with different sound effects, different music. There's only so many different ways you can cut the same pie. But the process is what opened my mind to, this is a ton of fun. And I could do this for the rest of my life. And that's throughout awesome. The years, I messed with different programs. Sony Vegas was another huge one that I got used to messing with. And then throughout high school, I messed with Final Cut Pro. And then now finally in college and beyond, I've been using Adobe Premiere and the Adobe Creative Cloud. That's and awesome. Here I am today using the same tech.
Back in high school, were you part of the media program at Palatine?
Well, there wasn't really so much a media program so much as there were like just classes for it. And my senior year, most of my time in high school, I was going through a lot of the requirements. I was doing a phys ed, I was doing a foreign language, mathematics, English, all the stuff, and I didn't really have a whole lot of leeway to mess with different classes. I was a band kid, if that wasn't obvious. But anyway, I had some leeway my senior year to really explore some of my passions, and that's when it cemented further for me. Like I really love messing with the creative departments a lot. So, that's when I really got into it and kind of honed my skills a little bit more.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like you caught the storytelling passion pretty early on. We talk about editing, but like when I think of editing, I think of through our conversations, like it's storytelling. At the end of the day, you're putting a message together, you're putting a story together of something that's like from your perspective, in what you're trying to be able to create. Where do you think that comes from?
As a kid, I loved all the stories of, like, say, Polar Express, all these fantastical tales of, Polar Express is really good, too, because it's like a really warm children's story. I've seen it like top to bottom every single time, and every single year in band class I always play Polar Express. For what reason? I can't say. But it was a very fun movie to watch year over year. God, I've seen that movie as many times as I've heard Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You at this point, which thankfully we don't have to hear anymore because we're past that now, 2025. Woo!
Deanna has it on her playlist, though, so if you want it, we could crank that up.
I'll pass. Still, good. Respectfully. But I would watch so many movies as a kid. Star Wars. I love those epic stories. Lord of the Rings. These grand sagas. But I also really love documentaries, too. Stories that would just kind of tell the world as it is. March of the Penguins, when I was a kid. It's this documentary about emperor penguins up in, down south in the South Pole.
Is it like it's on Discovery Channel or something like that? Like one of those type of National Geographic shows?
Yeah. So you're basically following the story of some penguins and what goes through their day in life.
I've seen a penguin show, but anyway, keep going.
I never thought I'd get so emotional about a documentary. But when I was a kid, I really loved that sort of lens where you can use a camera to tell a story that shows the world as it is. And it stuck with me ever since then. And I've been honing my skills ever since my time as a kid, as a creative, to where I am now, through college and past college. I've been messing with photography quite a bit, voiceover that I'm doing nowadays.
Yeah, that's what people don't know about you. They see video, they see podcasting, but like your best skill set is probably camera, like photography. Like you're not good at the other stuff. You're great at the other stuff. It's just I feel like us as a company hasn't really showcased that for you. and to be able to help get that out, I think that's something that will continue to evolve. You're from like a super creative family too, right? Like, an intellectual family, your brother's out Washington, Carson's out in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. You have another brother that's down, was it Belmont?
He's not going to Belmont anymore. He's going to another school down in Nashville, Tennessee.
Cool.
But he is very creative, very musically inclined. I mean, all three of my brothers, me, my older brother, my younger brother, we're all musically inclined. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we all have some creative outlets of our own. My older brother is such a whiz with photography and modeling. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not sure how familiar you are with like little mini figures, miniatures, kind of painting them, modeling them.
Not at all. Yeah, not at all.
But my brother has got such an incredible attention to detail with the painting and posing of them and putting them together. It's truly just, it's incredible what he does. And my younger brother has got such a talent for music. And that's actually how we met. Yeah. My younger brother. Yeah. We were at Dirty Nelly's right down in downtown Palatine. And there was a Future Stars event, which is something that you had actually helped kind of organize and put together.
Yeah, it was something I did with Melanie Santos Stefano.
Yeah,
early on, I had a family member reach out to me. I had a kid band saying, "Hey, do you know any places that could play?" I called Melanie, and she's like, "Hey, I have this vision that I did before. Would you want to like partner and do it again?" And we did that probably for like a year and a half. And then I think this time it was hard to execute because we weren't making any money on it at all. And I mean this with love. The parents of the band members, it's sometimes a lot to be able to take in. I'll say it now with love. And when you're trying to build, for me, I'm building 2 businesses at this time, and support nonprofits stuff. So yeah, that's where we met. I saw you with the Sony camera and kind of running around, and I'm like, hey, I was in the middle of doing those Love Local videos at that time. I think even at that time, I still had the real estate logo on the videos and all of that, and just trying to find the identity. I think till later on in life, I was like, real estate is a part of my life, but it was a piece that to me, it's really about like it was helping those stories in the community. I think we have a common love for stories that helped me during those times be able to like navigate my way and understand people's stories, like really, really helped people, right? And so then I saw you with the Sony camera. I needed another somebody else to work with, a videographer, and we did our first video at, is it Camp K9?
Camp K9. Yep. The first gig I did for you was photography for a Schaumburg.
Oh, business. Yeah,
I think it was an SBA event.
Workplace, workplace something. It was an initiative they had to help local businesses with their staffing needs that you did. That's right. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. There was a job fair that was held at an old art van, which by that time was already out of business. Unfortunately. But yeah, no, it was great. We just started from there, and we kind of kept doing some of those Love Local videos where we off 53 at the time, and we were showcasing some of the other businesses in the community, and we kept going and going and going until eventually you took me on board as a content creator.
Yeah, I remember, and when you came on, and Monica was on early on, and then she left shortly thereafter, and you think you were with us, I would say shortly after. It was a little while after. You were with us about a year and a half ish.
Yeah, about a year and a half from between freelancing and just working as a content creator, just working in the office right here at Bellworks.
Yeah, and I remember 23 was a hard year. Like I learned a lot. Real estate was a slower year. Just a lot of stress. I was trying to build too much here, trying to do too many things for too many types of people instead of going back to our mission of just really loving local. And like, we were sitting in the office here at Bellworks, and like it was going to be your last day. Like it was like we had this plan. It was going to be your last day. We were just going to work the studio type thing because we were always going to keep the studio up and going, and be able to go from there. And I remember, like I was sad. I was disappointed in myself. There was a lot of feelings that you go through as an entrepreneur when shit doesn't go your way. And you learn and you grow from those things. And I remember being there and you were like, is this really like my last day? And I'm like, yeah, man. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, dude. And I'm like, I think I might even be crying at this time. And you're like, well, what is, you talked to me about a partner before, managing partner. What does that entail? And you kind of describe, like, would it be this? And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what it is, and this. And you're like, oh, I know when you said it before, I was a little like, I was scared, so I didn't say that yet. That was probably 6 months beforehand, if not more than that, that I said it. I think we talked about it a couple times, because I always looked at this as I wanted to build this with people. I don't think we could love local with a one-man show. I think it is a village of people that all have unique skill sets, and we're still building that up now. And I remember you saying, like, I was scared, but I think I could do it. And I just remember being like, well, fuck, I'm scared every day, man. Like, scared we could work with. Scared's a part of, anything in life when you're doing something new, especially when you're building a business. But then you're like, yeah, I think I could do it. And then now you look at us, and now this is probably 12, 13, 14 months later. We're in this studio. Business is evolving, and you're getting yourself out there. It's like, I'm super proud, I think, of you. I'm grateful to have this conversation. I'm like, this is probably long overdue, but I'm also like, the timing is actually pretty beautiful of it, man. So, you earn partnership. To me, I go back to, you are the face of Love Local Media. People just see me right now, but once they get to see you more, I really, really think, get to know you more, they're going to have a lot of love and respect for you, just like I do, and as a creator and just as a human. And I'm excited for the future, man. Your skills here with Love Local really, you balance me out really well. I'm gonna build, I'm gonna dream, I'm gonna tweak. And as I continue to go, you kind of help us keep organized. You help, obviously, with the creative stuff and all of that, and helping our clients. But your arranging skills, in the Zohos of the world and all that is really valuable. And to see, knowing where we're going next, where we won't tell everybody, but it's a fun direction next that we're going to see you get to create regularly, to tell stories that you see. Probably as most excited I've been since we started this journey, because of your love for story has just shown up over and over and over again throughout this, year and a half, 2 year, 3 year journey, whatever this is for us. I'm gonna stop counting, but I don't know. I'm really excited to have you here. I'm excited to have other players come on as well. Deanna's been awesome too, but you're an OG to me. You're wearing a Betty D's t-shirt, which is the original studio named after my grandma. It's just like, you, yeah, man, you trusted and you believed, and you've earned every second of being a partner. So, to talk to people a little bit about, like, how do we use media to help people? I think I've confused people, because I'm creating at the same damn time, because I can't help it, as we build this media company. So can you talk to people about how we use media to be able to help people?
Yeah, sure.
For their own businesses and brands?
Yeah. So, between videography, photography, we cover a pretty decent range of services. We do event videos for clients that want to showcase a certain event or something going on with their business. Excuse me, I've got a cough drop because I've been overcoming a cold.
You're good, man. It's going around.
But we do event videos. We do short form videos for our clients. We do long form videos for our clients. That includes something like website videos, which is something that they can put on their websites.
Testimonial videos,
that sort of stuff. Really anything they need media wise, like, we can do it. Even if you got to do something a little bit longer form, like, we'll figure it out. We'll make a win-win for the both of us.
Yeah, and you've been editing since you've been 10 years old. That has been proven and shown now. So, like, your editing is strong. We have good equipment. We could help people. We help people put their stories together in that great way. And now, we have this studio, which it's been fun building this, right? Like, we've been open since August now. And what's your thoughts about, like, the people that you see coming through the studio, like who we're helping? Obviously, we have Love Local Chicagoland, but let's be real, we're just renting this studio out just like everybody else. What has you excited about people in the studio?
I like to see people. I like to see people as people here. I think the more people talk, like especially the magic of working on a podcast is that as people talk, you start to see them for who they are. Mm-hmm. Some folks really do open up. Some folks do kind of clam up a bit. So in that case, I guess you don't really do see people for who they are. But when folks open up a bit more, you get to see people in their authentic self. Mm-hmm. And it's really a delight to hear their stories, their journeys, because sitting in that seat, you see so many different stories. Mm-hmm. And it's really inspiring to see and uplifting to hear just what different paths, what different choices they've taken, what sort of things they've overcome, and where they are now compared to where they've been in the past. And you get to peer into so many different stories, and it's like the appeal of watching a movie and going through those stories, but it's real, and it's really a delight.
Yeah, no, man, it's go back to like there's some commonalities and the passion for story, and I think we see life in story too, from that perspective as creatives. But that's one of my favorite things too, is seeing people come in here and get their message across and amplify it. I think one of my favorite things is seeing that person that is that's clamming up, that's nervous, to see them overcome.
Oh yeah, I love that reach. I love when they reach that
because
point.
They do. They right? Tell me I'm wrong, but they overcome. They might have to work through whatever they're working through, but hey, most people overcome and get through it because because of your help, but also because they just chisel within themselves. At least that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Sometimes you need like a good guest or a good host to kind of weasel them out of it. Like having good conversation.
Oh, that definitely helps. Going solo is really hard. That's the hardest thing to do in a podcast.
That's hard. That's really hard.
And to be able to carry a show and to be able to keep it entertaining and engaging for however many minutes, that's really hard. I like the interview style. I might go solo here or there as we evolve. Who knows? But I really like the interview style. I like the conversation like this because it's a lot easier. Then you could just be thoughtful. You could be curious. You could have a story, agenda. But after that, it's very much about just having a conversation and leading with curiosity, and from perspective. So that's beautiful, man. I think what I want people to know too, as I turn off my phone because it keeps beeping, is like we help people in here, but we also go out to your place, with Love Local, which I think is something that I'm not sure if everybody knows about us, but I think is important to know, because this is just how you start, that's why we made it a cost-efficient model so that, people could start creating, but eventually you might want to make your own studio. We can help you with that too, and help you make your own set and come out there once, twice, 3, 4 times a month, whatever it is to create with you.
Yeah, we've got like a professional studio here, but don't let this be like the end-all be-all too. Like we want our clients to make their own things. We want them to blossom into their own style.
Nothing to create, right?
Yeah. It. We'd love to be, a helping hand for any sort of service they need. If they're doing their own studio, we'd like to edit. Mm-hmm. If they can edit too, we'd like to just kind of do their thing as well. But frankly, like we just want to be a good friend and a good partner throughout the whole process. Like don't let us be like the end all be all. Like we'd love to be, but at the same time, like we also equally love to watch our friends and clients grow.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fun part. When you see people win and when they're creating to go after something and then they win, they chisel through it, they get it to their point. Like it's fun to see people win like that and to feel that experience. I know I didn't always feel that as a creator. So when you see that, as I've gotten it now, I'm like, I can't get enough of it. So when you see it in other people, when it sparks for people, when it just starts flowing, it's like, wow, like it's beautiful. And it is because, to me, you hear me say a lot, we'll jump on to the next thing here too, but you hear me saying like, we're not the artist, we're the canvas. We all have a story to tell. We all have a message to be able to get across. We all have different perspectives that could come across in creation mediums like this or anything with video, in my opinion.
Well, one of my passions has always been to try and foster a similar sense of passion in people. Doesn't matter what. Mm-hmm. You start talking to me about any sort of I'm a jazz aficionado. You start talking to me about jazz, you start naming some artists, like I'll talk to you all top and bottom. Japanese jazz fusion, I'm in. You know, that sort of stuff. Like, I love fostering that passion. So it extends to business too. Like, you want to talk podcasts, let's talk about it. Cameras, let's go. Focal lengths, apertures, shutter speeds, like, I'm there all day.
Yeah.
So absolutely, I really just love fostering that passion.
Yeah, it's fun, and to see people's passion come to life is fun, especially because sometimes people are scared of their passion. They're scared of, like, well, what people think. Am I supposed to be doing this, or am I supposed to be saying this? So when they get it, it's like, let's go.
That's awesome.
It's a beautiful thing. I could relate with that.
It's also like the financial part too. Like, some folks don't want to put forth that initial investment. Like, I've talked to a lot of folks too. This is kind of going off of what I was talking about earlier about being into voiceover. I've talked to a handful of folks too, like between networking events and my friends too, that'll say like, oh, I want to get into voiceover. I don't know where to start. I don't know if I have the money. I don't know if I want to put forth the investment to get started. But what's good about what we have with the podcast studio here is that it's like, we've got it already. Mm-hmm. We got a nice cheap rate. We've got the systems. Just come on in.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out the rest for you. So if you ever want to like really dive into it, let us help.
Yeah, totally, man. I agree 100%. We're purposeful in our branding and what we're doing,
Yeah.
And I feel like you really see that. And it was important for us not just to build a business, but to build a business that stood for something. And that was in my heart from very, very beginning on, even before media company was even there. It was like, if you build something, it should stand for something. It should have values, and it should have morals in it. It should have beliefs in it. And everything that I heard about doing that at that time was like, oh, that just takes a really long time to be able to build that, and most people don't. And now we're sitting here in like 5 years of this build, and I'm like, man, it does take a long time to get to people to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. But we're choosing to love local with our business model overall, and we're going to do that in many ways. But why we wanted a media company to stand for something is because it's being local is important, right? Support, and the world's changing so much. You talked about like mass media and how that's kind of changing.
Oh yeah.
And now like this is literally like we're super connected to our neighbors, right? In our community, because how these social platforms work. So for us to be the content creators that help Love Local is pretty cool. What's your thoughts on like, having a company that stands for something, about loving local, about helping amplify local voices?
Well, I think it's really important that we decide to boost our local voices, to amplify the folks in our communities, because it's here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like some guy in La La Land halfway across the country is talking about, I don't know, things you don't care about. Like, check this out. This guy is promoting this thing, and I don't agree with that thing, and you should care about that because you just should. All right, I don't care about that. What I care about is hearing about the folks in my community that I can walk down the street and see, and I want to learn about them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to learn about some things that the man in the tiny box in my television tells me to care about. I just want to love my neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
It extends beyond just like politics. It extends beyond like class. It's just like
real politics is just a game, dude. Like at the end of the day, you look at history, politics is just a game. You said it. It's like we gotta love our neighbor. Like,
yeah.
And if we could understand our neighbor, and if we could show our commonalities, like maybe the world isn't as frightful as we're being made to believe as we watch, the 24-hour news cycle hit us differently on these social platforms where it's always embedded into us. Like that's not that healthy, in my opinion. And understanding that there's nothing new under the sun. There's wars and all this sort of stuff. It's just cycles of history. And now it looks like we're going into this or in this cycle of history where there's internal conflict at mass because they've utilized social media to divide us with propaganda and misinformation, and to put us into buckets, which is bullshit. at the end of the day. None of us are in buckets. I have friends from the left, I have friends from the right, and we're going to have to talk. And we haven't really talked yet, but we're going to have to talk if things continue to evolve, because I do think there is a difference of opinion that really needs to be worked through, so that we could really focus in on making sure we love and support our neighbors. Because at the end of the day, like, most of us are good people, right? Like, we've talked about that before.
Oh, yeah. Nobody ever believes that they're an evil person. No. I refuse to believe that somebody is just
a small percentage of people that are born bad. I think it's people experience trauma. People's perspectives in their own lives help them develop narratives that help them get through the day sometimes. But those narratives are sometimes missing that other person's perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And if we don't look as a society and as local community members to change that, life's gonna suck. Like, right? Like, we don't want to hate our neighbors, I'm sorry, I'm ranting now, but it's, I remember the politics during, the elections, and you go down to your community and you see signs from the left, you're right, you see all this thing, and you see us being divided really bad through social media platforms and through the mass media. But if we talk to our neighbors, they're good people that have that sign in the yard that talk shit about the person that you don't like either, that you like. And then you got to explain to your kid why they're talking shit about that person. It's weird and it's hard, but at the end of the day, it comes back to loving your neighbors. So when we talk about a media company, we want that 6 degrees of separation, right? To show our commonalities and to show the things that connect us that we could agree on. You were going to say something. I was just ranting.
Oh, no, I was just going to touch upon a psychological term. There's a psychological term for when folks just talk among each other with similar-minded individuals. It happens every day with all the people we talk to, and we don't even really think about it. It's called group polarization. It means, essentially, it means that whenever you talk with people of similar viewpoints, ultimately, your viewpoints are going to become more polarized, get it, group polarization, more so than if you were just simply keeping to yourself, more extreme than the sum of its parts, essentially. We see that a lot in today's society. We see different echo chambers. We see it everywhere, group chats, actual chats, or families, or friends, everywhere, clubs. I mean, anywhere that you're talking with folks that don't have different opinions in certain ways. Like, if you're all the same person, essentially, down to the bottom, you guys are going to become so polarized in your beliefs that you're never going to have any shred of thought for any other viewpoint, which is frankly terrifying. You think that'd be a lot different with the diversity on the internet, but
you think we would learn from history, right?
Oh, you think?
But us humans don't learn from history, at least from what I'm seeing. It feels like it just keeps repeating itself. It just looks a little bit different. Maybe it's in a different place, but history itself repeats itself. Go back to there's nothing new under the sun. Everything has been here before, even if it feels brand new. What are you gonna say?
Ultimately, you need a degree of empathy to overcome that sort of that group polarization. It's so much easier to have a respectful conversation with folks when you have a nice common ground to stand on. Let's say a homeless man is on the street. Would I be so willing to give money to that homeless man if I weren't homeless myself at some point in time? Maybe, maybe not. It kind of depends on where I'm coming from. But let's say I was homeless at some point in time, and I knew the struggle of trying to put food on the table, trying to make ends meet, or say maybe I've got a dog with me too, making sure he's got food, making sure he's not gonna, lose a leg because of some sickness that's going on, some scratch that got infected. I mean, I would have a much different response to something like that based upon my history. And this extends to everything. It's empathy that we all need to have to kind of overcome our differences. And I think everyone's got a base degree of empathy. It's just a matter of how much you want to open up to it.
Yeah, and sometimes when you have empathy for others, you you have to look within yourself. If you're struggling to get that empathy, you have to look within yourself to see where that is coming from. Is that a stereotype? Is that a bias? Is that what is that at the end of the day? And sometimes that's hard to go through, but goes back to all of us. In my opinion, most of us as humans, most of us as neighbors in our world, but definitely in our local community, we want what's best for our community. So we have some shared perspectives, right? Shared perspectives are good, right? But to me, where I look at like perspective being really powerful is when we have shared challenges.
Oh, yeah.
And my friend, we have some challenges right now, and it's at a federal level for sure. It's at a global level for sure. But and we can't do much about those things. But what we can do are things about the local community. We can make an impact here locally. We can help shape our community so that our kids and this next generation isn't completely impacted negatively. Like what history tells us happens during times like this for generations to come. So my thoughts is like if we could look at our shared challenges that we have, but come from different perspectives. So we have to talk to each other that don't agree, but we have to come from different perspectives, but look to build a win-win to unite, to make what's right, to be the best here in our local community, to make sure that wins out. Because if we don't look to unite, if we don't look to bring in shared perspectives to build a win-win, this is just a shitty world to live in. And I don't know about you, man. I don't have much left here on this earth, probably halfway through my life if I'm lucky. And I don't want to live in this life and raise my kids in this life and then hopefully and pray that I have grandkids that has to manage through this hate and this force of this polarization that you're talking about happening. So to me, making content, sharing local stories, getting behind the camera and amplifying your voice in a way that is unique, that is open-minded, that is willing to take feedback and to welcome in the community to get different sides so that we could focus in on showing that we're probably not as different as we think we are, as that we're being made to be. That's why we built Love Local. Because now we have this opportunity now to, with the 6 degrees of separation, just like they're killing us with propaganda and misinformation right now, we could love them back by amplifying our voices in our local community. And if every town in the dang country did that, we could make us stronger tomorrow. But we have to look to talk to people that have different perspectives. And we need to look at the challenges that we have within our communities and within ourselves. And we need to be able to be open-minded, and we need to have empathy, but we need to look to build a win-win because we're not all going to think alike because we all have different perspectives. Yeah. You know, if you're poor and then you made it, you have a different perspective than somebody who just made it and their dad they walked them into a business or whatever it is. And nothing against that. I have friends that is. Oh, yeah. But your perspective is different. Mm-hmm. Is if you're getting your Christmas gifts from a church or from a local nonprofit or whatever those reasons are because you grew up poor. So understanding that there's different stories is super, super important. Yeah. What do you got to say?
We got a lot of different ways of showing those stories too.
Yeah.
We've got 3 branches through Love Local Media that we can actually use to tell those stories too. And, you know, it's been an honor working with all 3 of them. As we talk to so many different people, we shared so many different stories in different ways. Mm-hmm. But let's start with Love Local Media.
Yeah.
Love Local Media is, sorry, a random segue.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect segue. I mean, I was just, I'm ranting because I believe it, but at the end of the day, it's a perfect segue to what you're going into.
Yeah.
So, Love Local Media, what is it?
Love Local Media, the branch of what I guess my head branch at that point is, we help clients. We do what they want. If they have a video in mind, we do it. An event, we do it. Website video, we do it. So if you are looking to just get the content made, you tell us what it is. we do it.
Yeah, beautiful. And studio kind of plays into that, right? I always talk about people seeing us using this a lot, but we're very much just renting this studio like everybody else for what we're doing with Love Local Chicagoland. So talk to people about the studio.
Love Local Studio is something it's further on than Betty D's was. Betty D's was our first iteration, but now Love Local Studio is the more fleshed out version. This is where clients can come on in and do their podcasts. So we've got, we can support up to 4 folks here in the studio, but you can rent out the studio, run your podcast studio. We can do the recording, the editing, the distribution. We can do clips of some of the podcast episodes. I mean, we got the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, for sure. It's cost effective too. You know,
yeah.
I think that was a really important piece for us. Like, we're here at Bellworks. We feel really grateful to be here at Bellworks. It's a beautiful space, but we wanted to make something that was cost effective for businesses and for nonprofits and for people of the community, so that they could create and amplify their voice for all the reasons we just said. Beforehand, that we won't get back into. Like, it's time for people to get behind the mics, and if you feel like you're being called to say something, then come up to the mics and start creating. Now you have no excuse, because in your backyard you have this to be able to create with, and to be able to do shows at, and it's a clean, polished set with professional videography and audio.
And we got cheap rates. We got a kick-ass studio. Sorry, I just swore, but we got a great studio here. I mean, come on in.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so we have those two. Those are the Love Local Media is the main entity. The studio's underneath it, and Love Local Chicagoland's underneath it too. And Love Local Chicagoland's my baby. That's why I got started in all this. I saw the power of stories as a community first realtor doing videos throughout the community during the pandemic, and I saw the power of stories that. Really, guys, I saw people from all different walks of life, and we were struggling with the same things. So if we were just to talk to each other, we could help each other win, and maybe build some wins throughout that. So it's my baby, but it's where we highlight the businesses. We didn't want to be a normal media company. We're like, going into the times that we're in, to me, I struggle with just being a normal media company that does stuff for everybody else. It's more like, well, we're going to do stuff for you. Of course we're going to do that. But you know what? We're going to build something that stands for something, that stands for the local community, that's also going to amplify your voice. And we're going to do that in a really, really, really cost-effective way in comparison to what the market is, because we think we all win together, and we want to amplify your voice on our platforms. So I'm excited for the future, man, and I think the future is bright. It may be turbulent at times, we'll see, but I have faith that from what we've gone through already and what we'll continue to go through open and honest communication, that we'll continue to be great partners, man. And any last words as we wrap up here?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be some interesting times ahead for sure. But end of the day, I mean, everybody around us is so very alike. I mean, it doesn't matter what you believe or what you think. I mean, we all appreciate a nice hard day's work. We appreciate sharing a nice ice cold beer and a good burger after that long day of work. Or maybe you don't eat meat, maybe you don't drink beer. But the point is that we're very alike. I don't care what anyone else thinks, so long as we all can see that. And we all appreciate it. And we extend that open hand to each other and just talk like human beings. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm proud to say that we help facilitate here at Love Local.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so much more to say on that, but I'll let it be. But great last words, man. I'm excited for the future, and I'm looking forward to people giving us a call to let you create for them. I go back to you are the face of Love Local Media to me. I love the community stuff. That's very much where my passion lies. Real estate is a big piece of my life, and probably will continue to be with Royal Family Real Estate, who's taking care of this show for us. But to me, Deanna has the opportunity to be able to continue to grow with us too, and maybe other people too. Who knows what God has in store? But I want to love local, and I want to do it with some pretty awesome people. So thanks for being one of those awesome people.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So, friends, if you're looking for media, call him and at Love Local Media, or come in the studio too. And if you're looking to get highlighted in the community with Love Local Chicagoland stuff, we'd love to be able to support you there too, my friends. We went into Cole's story today, and then we went into like some deep talk of why we're doing this and what we're doing. And at the end of the day, we think perspective matters. I even got a shirt made for it. But if we each know and understand another one's perspectives, my hope to what Cole was saying is there's more empathy, there's more compassion for one another, so that at the end of the day, we can come together with people with different perspectives to talk about shared challenges, to be able to focus on building win-wins. My friends, we can't do anything about anything federal, other than vote, every few years like we're supposed to, but we can make a change here locally. And we could do that through collaboration, through connecting, through telling our story in authentic ways, and using the help of video, and also by really focusing on building a community within what you're doing. My friends, we're stronger together as community members. I've been saying that for almost 5 years now, and I believe it. So, Cole Keller, appreciate you. And my friends, thank you so much. In support local, love local. We're stronger together. Peace.